leave me the message and I'll call you back. Thanks.
Hey Shannon, I just started a video to record and talk with you about very specifically the situation with Kara Johnston Miles. I just started the video, and the front cover of it is a message in one of the messages that I sent you today. This one's from Erin Cockerham, and it's her telling me to take screenshots of everything and send it to you, which I did. I followed instructions. That was in 2018, June 21st, I believe. I could be incorrect about that. I was just looking through about 3 or 4 of them. Anyway, I figured I'd call you up and give you a chance to be a hero since you know so much that really needs to be heard. All right, so Shannon Alvarado, she's made a lot of accounts after I've told her just to leave me alone, but I'm giving her a chance. She said to call at 6:30. I think I'm a few minutes early. I did not mean to leave the comment section on this video. I meant for it to be just a conversation between her and I. So I'll just not look at the comments, right? In this video, I'm not going to be looking in the comments for people offering help because most of your help is bupkis. It's an idea. I'll give it that much credit. She did let me know. I was only able to listen to one of the messages that she sent. She sent me 2 of them. And I was going to listen to the second one, but it wouldn't play. She's helping her daughter shower or bathe or whatever. So once they're done with that, in the last video with her, she admitted to the drinking and to the yelling. And I'm glad for that. See, here's the thing. That stuff doesn't make her a bad person at all. The thing is, with somebody who has PTSD primarily, an environment with that going on, like, it takes a while for us to recover from that. People don't mean nothing by it, but it's the reality of the situation. She also said that Mandy Hughes had some receipts that she was able to show Shannon Alvarado. Receipts that show that she did send me money when I was in Arapahoe County Jail. Money that could have been used for me to contact people that could have helped, because my public pretender wasn't going to do it. So Shannon Alvarado claims that there's receipts of that. Now see, while I was stating that these things happened, and I was begging these people, please come forward, please show some evidence of this, please. They didn't actually allow me that money on my books or on my phone when I was in the Arapahoe County Jail. I would have been able to use that money to call somebody who cared. Instead, there was people who didn't answer the phone. The very few people whose names or phone numbers who I could remember. People who should have come forward about important details that didn't. When it comes to assaults, I endure a lot of them. In that last video, during one portion of it, you get to hear some people drive by and scream some stuff at me. If you turn up the volume loud enough, you'll hear exactly what they're saying. And it ain't nice. Shannon Alvarado was on the phone with me for that. You also get to hear me shouting at Shannon Alvarado. Absolutely. Long history. She admitted that what we were going to do is to turn it in together. She also admitted that she never made the effort to do that. And that's one of the things with everyone I went to for help. And the things that they said were almost like clockwork. I can't, I'm in Arizona. I can't, I'm in Texas. I can't, I'm in California. That didn't stop Kara Johnson Miles. Shannon Alvarado did expose Kara Johnson Miles. You know where the picture on the front of this comes from? It comes from Aaron Cockerham giving me instructions on making sure that I save the evidence and send it to Shannon. Like, Shannon's the one who sent me the evidence. Shannon Alvarado is the one who sent me the evidence to begin with. And in that recording, what was it, 2 videos ago? No, it wasn't a live video. You'll be able to tell it from the others because it has almost no views. Now, when you want to talk about how I'm such a stalker, I'm trying to give Shannon Alvarado a chance, even though, well, I just have to be happy with the fact that she did come forward with important details. That she did fess up some pretty important things as far as making my ability useless. For me, I'm really good at immersing myself into something. If I've got some peace and quiet, then I can focus. If I can focus, I can do quite a bit. But I'm stuck in public. A lot of times in that conversation, you get that it's not Shannon doing anything wrong at all that's the reason for my voice raising. It's traffic going by. If you can't hear the traffic, turn up the volume. That's a lot less likely to happen if I'm not stuck right next to traffic in a vehicle that's got windows busted out. There's a lot of these people who are angry with me for giving them a tiny taste of what I go through every day, and they don't like it. Now, as far as Shannon Alvarado goes, she can talk to the police and she can record it. I sent her some of the screenshots and also some of the videos in that previous video with her, and I'll post the link to it in the description down here as soon as I end this one. She talks about Joseph Michael Lopez court date. Now let me tell you about that part. This is important. Kara Johnson Miles was pretending to be a go-between. She was pretending to be an autism advocate, and since Miss Shelley was having problems with her phone, and didn't have it anymore and had to change her number and all sorts of other crazy stuff. Well, it ended up being this big crazy thing where Kara Johnson Miles, she pretended to be an autism advocate from Autism America, autism something or other. Now, for months and months and months, this Kara Johnson lady was not being a go-between. And all of the communications with these people should have been monitored. A friend or family member should have been there with me whenever I had to talk to anybody on the Bollinger side of this BS. Where does Shannon Alvarado come into all this? She was trying to help me when she realized that Kara Johnson Miles was one of the people who was communicating with me, and she was the go-between who was pretending to be an autism advocate I'd been speaking about. She said, oh, she's not an autism advocate. No, she's one of these people. And she posted up this screenshot, and I'm looking at it. And Shannon's like, you need to block her now. You need to block her. I'm like, I'm going to take a look at the evidence first. And then, of course, Kara Johnson Miles started bullying Shannon Alvarado for letting me know. Like always, I was speaking up I could. I'm not still accused of murder. I was never formally accused of murder. Never charged with murder, certainly. Am I still being accused of murder by people who want to throw things at my vehicle, put rocks through my window, assault me, and threaten to kill me? Yeah. Yeah, from those people, I'm still being accused of murder. Anyway, Shannon Alvarado, she does have a chance to be a hero. Hopefully she will. Now, with the Kara Johnson Miles situation, there's 4 videos. One of them from right before Joseph Michael Lopez court date outside of the building, where I talk about how I'm going to go in there and my intent is to turn in the Bollinger family, as well as the officers who were involved in bullying me, bullshitting me, and intentionally misleading the public to make me a target. The second of those videos is inside of the building. It's showing that it is, in fact and indeed, a Joseph Michael Lopez arraignment hearing. I believe it was courtroom number 501. And then I did not record inside of the courtroom because, well, it's a courtroom. And back then I was young and naive, I suppose you could say. Now I just straight don't give a fuck. I'll record in the courtroom, I don't care. Anyway, I'm hoping that Shannon Alvarado will do something that should have been done a long time ago, which is to tell the story of Kara Johnson Miles from her point of view. Anyway, how do I go about this? Kara Johnson Miles, during Joseph Michael Lopez court arraignment, I was bullied by the officers. I was also bullied by Ted Bollinger, who wanted to come in yelling and screaming and shouting. And, of course, hiding behind all of the officers. So, I had to go alone. This is, mind you, after the bullshit that Ted Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger pulled at my grandma's funeral. And Shannon Alvarado can verify that shit, too. There's also the screenshots of all of the conversations and stuff. I've got some of them with me, matter of fact. I should probably pull him out. Ted Bollinger was trying to call me out on YouTube, but he was doing so on Alicia Bollinger's account. You can hear in that conversation Shannon Alvarado speaking about that, how I was afraid for Alicia Bollinger. There's also another woman I'm angry at. What's her name? Laura Nelson. It's because I was at her business with Graham Milburn for my grandma's funeral when Ted Bollinger was doing all of that. And Graham Milburn didn't take it very seriously. And he said literally all of the wrong things. So the deputy did not make a report about it. Deputy Jordan Anderson. Here's Cody Selhorst. There's a lot of deputies there in Dual County that took part in it. Animal Muppet type to check your email. All right, I will. Just can't do it right now at this very moment. Shannon Alvarado in that call before this one, whether you get to hear somebody screaming in the background, and they did actually call me some anti-homosexual stuff. It's very popular here. I mean, they talk about the, don't be this and don't be that, but really, it's very anti-homophobic, or homophobic, I don't know. They call me a homosexual while they're committing these crimes. They call me gay when they're committing these crimes. They call me the F word that is supposedly a synonym when they're committing these crimes. Chris Staff has been recorded in the last couple of days doing that. You're damn right I speak up. I should probably listen to the second message from Shannon if it's out. I do have 11% battery on my other phone, so I should be able to make about a 10-minute phone call, I suppose. That's not much. That stuff that Shannon and her boyfriend were going through. It's not business, Hey, Shannon. Oh. I guess I should probably call her back then.
Sean, I hung up because I was calling you, but Zanny's in the shower, and I lost my train of thought. I'm like, there's something I wanted to say that I also witnessed, but I can't remember what it was.
All right. I understand. I've been at that house. You're good.
I'll remember, and I will call you back, but I'm like, God, I feel like a total dumbass. I swear to.
That's all right. I just started a video to give you a chance to be a hero. I'll probably talk on your feet.
There was something I wanted to call and say, I witnessed also, that you endured. I just can't remember what we hadn't discussed.
The first one I think we should cover is we'll make sure that we get the story about Kara Johnson Miles down and you exposing her, and also her changing her name, and also how 3 months after she was doing all that stuff, she was able to get her words in my court paperwork, even though the stuff she said was a lie. Did I ever date Natalie Bollinger?
You never did anything. You told everything that you say, currently, is the exact thing you told me from the beginning. You did not do anything to her at all. Bad, nothing bad, no.
Now, with all the messages...
You protected Natalie Bollinger, is what you did.
With the messages between Natalie Bollinger and I from when she was still alive, do those show that as well?
Yeah, I mean, she was like, yeah, you went there and you fucking panicked, and you know what? You didn't do anything wrong. It's like you went there because they demanded you go there.
And see, that's
You
the
were not.
thing.
One thing I want to say is you were not behind Natalie's work. It was Alicia's work, and she told you to go there. Alicia's at the time she worked behind that. You know, everyone's like, "Oh, you sat behind Natalie's work for." No, you were behind Alicia's, and she told you to go there
You
behind her
know,
job. Yeah.
there's also the messages with Natalie where I was asking about that code from Alicia, and she was saying she didn't know. And the stuff from my birthday, like do you
Oh, that
do
sucks.
you tell
Yeah.
people that you love them if they're stalking you?
You were not stalking her. Like, no, you were not stalking her. Yeah, I saw a lot of communication, like when you were staying at the lady who poops a lot. I don't know. No, wait. Who's the lady that Amanda and her mother? What's the mother's name?
Lana Engeline.
Yeah, like she wanted to have sex with you or something.
Yo,
Isn't she the one like you were trying to? Because Natalie wanted you to go out there, but you're like, I can't right now. I don't. My vehicle doesn't work, or my tires are bad. Something was bad. Like you could not get there at the moment.
yo,
Is that, or am I like off on that? I mean, I just
that's a
remember you
different
telling me that.
lady. The one where I had to turn around, that was actually um Jamie.
No, I think you were no because like you were talking to Natalie, I think, and like you're like, but I can't do that. I can't go for a few weeks because I don't have the
The
way to get
tires.
there.
Yeah, that's the lady who was having problems pooping. That was Brenda Dickinson. And that's because she was on
Okay.
stage 4 cancer pain meds, which literally are opiates and they block up the pooper.
Okay, no, but you were trying to. But my point being is that Natalie asked you, and you could not do that at the time.
Right. And that's when
Yeah,
she wrapped her fucking car around that goddamn telephone pole.
yeah, and I can vouch, and I always defend you on that. Like even though, like no matter what, I'm like, no, he's not a fucking. Seriously, like and I know you handed out blankets, and I know you fucking, and like, my thing is, I think you used to be. I'm not saying you're not a good person now, but like you're really stressed the fuck out because
Yeah.
like you don't know what to do.
Well, I do know what to do, but nobody listens. That's the part about turning it in. When people don't follow instructions or they want to automatically insert stuff like, I don't know what to do. Well, that's when you say it the first time, that makes sense. But then if somebody knows what to do and they're trying to explain it to you, it's not helpful to continually say something like that, which is where most people end up going.
Yeah,
The thing with Kara Johnson Miles,
yeah.
did you catch her basically not being professional in those Natalie Bollinger groups?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You remember at first you're like, no, no, because I was like, I think I was one like a mod at
Well,
the time. A mod.
did it seem to you like they were trying to help me or hurt me?
Oh, sure. Like they were trying to fuck with you.
All right, now the
That's why
things.
I was perceptive on that. And at first, like initially, you were like, no, 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 stop it, stop it. You thought like I was like overly, and then
I was
eventually,
trying to
like
be
you're like,
patient and look at the evidence before making
I
a
know,
decision.
I'm not criticizing. I'm just
Go
saying,
ahead.
like I was able to pick that up, like that she definitely was not being a friend. She was being,
Well, I'd typed to her a couple of times about that because I didn't trust her. The things that she was doing and the fact that she was ignoring everything as a mandated reporter and as somebody who, like, she completely misled the situation, not just to me. And with her being a go-between like that and being supposedly an autism advocate who is going to help me, like, obviously that's not going to be useful.
she lied.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So like, with her, what do they call that, doxing or whatever?
I guess I don't know. I'm like
That's
I
what
don't know.
Aaron Cockerham was calling it. The screenshot that I have for the front of the video right now is part of the message from Aaron Cockerham from one of the messages that you had sent me of evidence. I told you I have it still.
Did I say you?
Yes, ma'am. I sent you one. It's in one of your messages today. I sent you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I told you that the
Yeah,
thing is that.
I don't check my email often. I'm just being honest. But you know what? If anybody, Sean, if anybody in the fucking
Oh,
room,
not to your email. I sent it to your phone.
I'm being recorded. I don't give a fuck. But you know what? You know what? I'm a good fucking person that always had your back. Like I always did because I
Well,
know
here's
I
what I want to
know.
focus on, Shannon. This is what I want to focus on
No,
right
I
now,
don't want to
if we
focus on
can.
me. I'm saying that I know you are not a fucking pedophile. You're not a fucking. You know what I mean? You're not the person that people like.
Yeah,
You're
like
not a.
did
Maybe you
Natalie
piss people off. I
did
will
did
say this:
Natalie
you can
thank
piss
me?
people off.
Did Natalie thank me for running her off when she was underage?
You fucking wouldn't even talk to her when she was underage. Like I remember the sleeping bags and the hobos. You're like, stay away from them. You wouldn't even
Yeah,
talk to her until
that
she
was
was
the
10.
last time I saw them when they were younger. They were like 14 at the time. I told them to go home and not come back.
Yeah,
I
you wouldn't
also,
talk to. I know, and I mean, like, I know you're not a creeper, and you have you pissed me off? Fuck yeah, you
all right,
have.
well, Shannon, here's what I'm trying to get you to stop doing is making it about you. What I'm trying to do is get you to focus right now very specifically on the situation with Kara
Okay,
Johnson Miles. Can we focus on that?
sure.
All right. So the situation with Kara Johnson Miles, you exposed her after. Oh, by the way, I also sent you two of the four videos from the court date of that
Okay,
day. After court, that's when you exposed Kara Johnson Miles, correct?
yes, I
All
believe
right.
so.
Well, I've got the stuff from that too that shows that it's just
I
buried
don't
in
know
a
the
lot
exact
more
date.
evidence.
Just saying, I don't know the date, but
Well, it's in the video that I sent you.
okay.
It shows
So,
exactly what date it was.
okay, fair enough.
All right. So the situation with you exposing Kara Johnson Miles and Natalie's ex stepmother's blocking me immediately once she was exposed. How do you think that affected me being able to get help from those two? Do you feel that those her ex stepmothers were trying to help me up until that point, or do you feel that they were trying to harm me as
They were trying
well?
to fuck with you.
All
They were
right.
trying to screw with you. I would think. I mean, that's just my best guess. Like they were not out to help you.
All right. Well, I was asking based on the stuff that you did get to see and read.
Yeah, well, if somebody's screwing with you, pretending they're somebody they're not, obviously they're screwing with you.
Yeah. Well, with her ex stepmothers, like, was I in contact with them?
I see. This is the part I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, I believe you were. Because you say out their names and whatnot. I believe you were, but
I
I would
sent you a
never put.
lot of evidence of that, so we
Yeah,
can go
I
past that
don't
one.
know.
I can send you the same stuff again. It's fine. It's just difficult to dig through now that I'm in this
Okay,
position.
I
All right.
can't like I don't want to like say something that I don't know. I know you were in contact with them.
Well, that's what I was asking, is if I was
Yes,
in contact with them.
I know you were. Not, I thought you were asking if I was, because I was never. But yeah, I know you were.
All right, Shannon. All right. Now let's continue with the Kara Johnson Miles situation.
Okay.
Now, with Kara Johnson Miles, did she contact you about exposing her at all?
What do you mean? Contact me about exposing her.
Like, did she get a hold of you on Facebook
Oh,
or
I
anything?
figured it out. No, I figured it out.
No, I
I
mean,
watched.
all right. So when you let me know, you were sending me screenshots of her
Yeah, she didn't
angry.
contact me about saying screwing with Sean. No, I figured her out. Like I figured it out.
Shannon, what I was asking is if she sent that shit to you. Did she send those messages to you?
What messages?
You were telling me that she got a hold of you after you exposed her to me, and I spoke up about it.
Okay,
You let me know that,
Sean, it's been a lot of years. Like, if you've got the screenshots, so I don't know. I don't remember all this fucking detail shit.
and that's why
Yes,
it's important to turn it in right away while the memories are
okay,
fresh.
I don't remember every single fucking detail about this shit. It's 8 years old.
And that's the thing, it wasn't 8 years old at the time, and that's why it was important to turn it in at the time, and that's why I saved the evidence the best I could. And when I was told to send you evidence so that you would have it and that you were going to read it, I did.
Still.
Well, that's where a lot of this evidence is. I sent you a lot of the evidence of the conversations between myself and Kara Johnson Miles, screenshot after screenshot of the text messages between Natalie, or between myself and Natalie's ex stepmothers.
Okay.
I sent you screenshot after screenshot of conversations between me and Natalie. There's a reason that I sent you all of that stuff
A lot
before,
of
and
stuff. It's a lot.
I'm aware that it's a lot. Do you have any idea how it is for me to have to go through all of that in my vehicle to be able to send it to somebody who says they're going to help me to turn it in?
It's got to be overwhelming.
It is.
Yeah.
And the assaults that I'm going through, there's actual assaults that I'm having to endure, like literal actual assaults this entire time. And I've been trying to get somebody to care that these things are happening. When I'm abused as a disabled person, I'm supposed to go to a friend or family member, and we're supposed to turn it in right away.
Do you know that I called one time? I was concerned about you, and I called the Tillamook. This was like months and months ago, but I was
Yeah,
worried about
you
you.
said that before.
I called.
But Shannon, instead of going off on stuff like that, please listen. We're trying to focus on the Kara Johnson Miles situation. Can we please stop OCDing on everything else? Please, can we focus on the Kara Johnson Miles situation?
It's not another thing because I'm trying to, people need conversation, right? There's communication.
No, this isn't a conversation. I'm trying to get this documented, the situation with Kara Johnson Miles.
Ask me questions and I will answer them for you. If you want to document it, ask me. Just ask me.
That's what I've been trying to do.
Okay. I'm not being mean. I'm being honest.
Please.
Okay.
Please. All right, so did Kara Johnson Miles message you to complain about you exposing her?
I don't remember that.
All
I
right.
don't remember. I'm sorry. I don't remember.
That's all right.
If we got screenshots, fine. It's a long time ago. I would tell you, but I don't want to say.
All right. We don't have we don't need to have it a big, long, rambling answer. The very beginning was good enough.
Good.
All right. Is my life at risk?
Yes.
Are you able to make three-way calls to places with me to tell them that my life is at risk?
I can do that, but I mean, like, I think by what you're saying, your life is at risk, but I'm not there to verify that. But yes, I can make three-way calls. Absolutely. I'm just not there to verify what's happening.
Shannon, time out.
Yes.
Time out.
By what you're showing me with your
Shannon, time out. Please let me speak.
Sean, if you want to help me, stop yelling at me, please.
I'm not trying to yell at you. I have traffic in the background revving up their vehicles. I'm not trying to be an asshole. Please stop pretending that I'm an asshole every time somebody revs up a vehicle. Please.
Your voice, I'm not the vehicle.
That's because there is a Jesus Christ, Shannon. That's what I'm trying to explain to you about understanding autism. You're making everything into an argument. There was literally a vehicle.
Sean, time out. Okay, we're going to do a timeout. Let's call me in a few minutes. I need a timeout. You need a timeout. Okay, call me in a few minutes so we don't fight, okay? Timeout. Okay?
It's not a fight. Just please listen.
No. I need a timeout right now. So it's 7:03 right now. I'm not being a jerk, but I think it's...
Ma'am, I've given you a goddamn timeout for fucking 7 years while I'm taking hell. Jesus Christ. You see how difficult this is. You get to see how after years and years and years, she's going to use that as an excuse. She's not going to allow me to finish what I'm saying. Once she's told me, all right, I don't remember, that's good enough. She doesn't have to ramble on for an hour about some shit that's got nothing to do with this. Meanwhile, has she bothered to listen to me? No. Has she bothered to look at the evidence? No. That's the thing about every single woman who wants to fucking pretend that they care. When you call somebody a fucking pedophile, their life is always at risk, whether they did it or not. That's the thing about common fucking sense. You can't sell it to a woman. It's sexist.
Please leave a message and I'll call you back. Thanks.
Nothing has been recorded. Record your message after the
And you see how these questions are nearly impossible for her to answer, right? Like, I answer pretty easily, don't I? I ask her a simple question and she's like, oh, I can't, like, it's stuff that she does remember. She says, oh no, it didn't happen. And then she literally tells me that it did. Like, Shannon, are you not hearing the words coming out of my mouth? Are you not able to hear the words coming out of my mouth? We got somebody pretending they're 12. We'll hide user on this channel. No problem. See, with Shannon Alvarado, I'm trying to get her to help focus on the situation that needs to be turned in. The situations she was a part of. Now, she couldn't remember shit when it was going on either, just so you know. This is the kind of help that I have been stuck with. Also, she's not focusing on the questions. What she's trying to do is use it to manipulate and throw a bunch of her own little tidbits in there. How about we fucking answer the question straight? And then we move on to the next question instead of playing head games. Now, she admits that Kara Johnson Miles was playing head games and she thinks this stuff with the other two stepmothers. Now, I asked her very specifically, was I in contact with them? Did you see the messages? Were you aware? There are fucking recordings with me and the ex-stepmoters on my Facebook. That's the thing about Shannon Alvarado saying she was going to help, saying she was going to look at the evidence, saying she was going to help turn it in. How much is she going to remember after all these years? And if I bring up anything about her fuck-ups, Jesus Christ. So I have to beg her to be quiet. Right? Now, you guys will straight up type at me to shut up. She likes yelling the word shut up at people. Now, Shannon Alvarado, after all these years of stalking me, and that's literally what it is. Eventually, I get fed up with this bullshit because she's just going to play fucking head games. Now, you can tell that she has communication issues. Obviously. Her mouth doesn't come together right unless she's angry and yelling, and she does do a lot of angry yelling. I got lots of little, well, what she does is she'll send this voice message, and I'll hit the first 2 seconds of it, and I hear her screaming, and I turn it off. Like, yep, I'm going to say one of those, except I'm going to do it live on YouTube. If you're going to be an asshole, I'll be an asshole back, but I'll do it publicly. I'm not going to hide behind it. I'm not going to pretend that it didn't happen. Now, she did talk about Sadie getting cancer. But there's important stuff that we're not focusing on because she won't. She's got her own stuff. I don't need you to tell me that you don't remember 8 different ways. And that's what Shannon does. And it's frustrating. See, obviously, focusing on Sarah Johnson Miles' situation is an impossibility. As far as the stuff with the ex-stepmothers, yeah, I sent lots of that stuff. She can check her emails. She says she still has all that stuff. We'll see. Now, Shannon Alvarado did send me messages saying that Kara Johnson Miles got a hold of her and was asking Shannon why she exposed her. But Shannon Alvarado was twisting that in her own head way, way, way too fucked up. You guys can hear that. Like, the questions that I asked her, she twisted into something way completely different in her head before answering. She was already in the fucking combat mode. And then she had to fucking do this head spin like, oh, he's not trying to be an asshole. Yeah, I was never trying to be an asshole. It's fucking dummies pretending that I'm being an asshole that results in me actually going, hey, I can be an asshole. Stop pretending I'm an asshole every time I tell the fucking truth. If you don't remember, you don't remember. But you get to see how she wants to try to, quote unquote, repair her own reputation with these own little tidbits, and I'm fine with that. No, I'm not. Because if she's going to be throwing them tidbits in, what am I going to do? I'm going to interrupt her. You're damn right. Don't try misrepresenting the situation. Don't try lying about the situation. Don't try downplaying the importance of your part. Any one of these people who claim they would help me to turn it in could have done so. Just one of them is all it would have taken, especially back at the beginning. But you also get to hear Shannon Alvarado's excuses between this video and the last. The same goddamn excuses every single time. She can't make it about turning in the abuse. It has to be about talking about her, what a good person she is, what a great person she is, about how she did this, about how she did that. Anything except focusing on the fact that her fuck-ups make a lot of fucking difference. There are situations there that don't make her a bad person, but the fact that she doesn't fess up to them makes her a bad person. For example, she had this rule while I was there. I couldn't record during the day because her daughter might be making funny noises and she didn't want her daughter getting taken away by social service or something like that, as if she was beating on her daughter because her daughter makes funny noises. Well, her daughter is autistic and nonverbal. The problem is the calls that I needed to make and record, I had to make during the day. I had to call police departments. I had to call sheriff's departments. Shannon Alvarado is not going to allow me to tell her my side. She never has. Now, I don't just tell her my side, I send her evidence. Always have. But there's also the fact that I can't send her every single little bit and piece of evidence. Shannon Alvarado just straight doesn't give a shit, and she's showing it yet again. She's being frustrated because she can't throw all those dusty little tidbits that she just wants to be a gnarl and into me, you know? And I can do that too. I can push her alcoholism real heavy in every conversation. I can talk about how her yelling at Rick and Rick yelling back definitely did not help the situation at all. And I can grind it in there. What a fucking hell it was to be there. But what was I trying to do instead? The same thing I've been trying to do from the beginning. Turn in Kara Johnson Miles. Turn in the shit with the Bollinger family. In the fucking abuse. Why the fuck is Shannon Alvarado still fucking making account after account after account to harass me? Claiming that she's sticking up for me. No, she's a fucking stalker. Did I make account after account after account to harass Natalie Bollinger before she died? No, I fucking didn't. Has Shannon Alvarado made account after account after account after account to harass me? Yes, she has. Have I told Shannon Alvarado to leave me alone? Yes, I have. And that's the thing about Shannon Alvarado not paying attention. She give a fuck about my broken goddamn window. She doesn't give a fuck about me. Oh, I saw that thing with your window. Well, guess what? There's videos of people fucking assaulting me. Is Shannon Alvarado bothering to look at those? Is she bothering to find out what's going on? No, she's not. She doesn't give a fuck about me. Like I said, it always comes around to Shannon's cockamamie goddamn opinions. There's also a lot of her crazy conspiracies that, like, hey, Shannon, why would you interrupt someone who is there to tell that someone some rumor you just fucking read or some rumor you fucking heard? You're hearing from the horse's mouth what happened. I prefer going to men for help because men tend to have useful solutions. The problem with going to men for help when you are the victim of abuse is that men don't care about other men. We only care if you abuse women, for the most part. Now, the part with Kara Johnson Miles. Kara Johnson Miles did get a hold of Shannon Alvarado. We got the screenshots of that, so we won't talk about that until I can pull up the screenshots, which are on a fucking computer. Thing is, I sent all this evidence to Shannon Alvarado. And everything that she said and did showed that she wasn't listening to the evidence. She couldn't understand the importance of it. Because she talked over it all. I understand that her daughter is a handful, but you know what? Nobody's putting rocks through Shannon Alvarado's window. Nobody's threatening to kill Shannon Alvarado and her kid. One thing I had to give up on a long time ago was telling Shannon Alvarado what I'm going through because she always wants to interrupt me to tell me something. Something is always more important than the abuse I'm going through. Always. You get to hear when I try to tell her how something that she did affected me. Because that's what we're supposed to do, aren't we? We're supposed to tell somebody when something they do hurts us. And you've gotten to hear Shannon Alvarado yell at me more than once because I was saying something that she did that hurt me. And how dare I? She got instantly hateful instead of trying to understand. And that's the way she always gets with that. And then she wants to tell me she has compassion. She admitted to making multiple accounts. Did she tell you that I blocked all of her accounts because all she would do is talk in circles about her fucking conspiracy theories? Or try to just throw real nasty fucking bullshit in there? Try to make herself feel better? Do things that are underhanded? See, the problem is, while I was sharing her all this information that she claimed that she was watching and she was saving and she was going to help turn in, she literally never helped to turn it in. At least she admitted that in the last video that we recorded with her. Just a little over an hour before we recorded this one, huh? But you get to hear how literally everything has to become an argument. She can't focus at all. Meanwhile, I'm expected to be able to focus perfectly. I'm expected to be able to do all of the things that she promised she was going to do. And now I have to do them all without the ability to do so. Now, I already found some of the screenshots. Matter of fact, Erin Cockerham, you see at least one of the things from her telling me to send stuff to Shannon Alvarado. Now, in all this time that Shannon's been stalking my channel and making fake accounts to get on here, is she actually helping? No. What she's doing, even in those accounts, she's getting on and trying to make... I'll give you an example. The baby angel one. How did I pull her out of the crowd as Shannon Alvarado? Because she was trying to throw those mean insinuations out there. And they were very pointed, very specific. And yep, in the conversation before this, when you get to hear from Shannon Alvarado that yes, in fact, and indeed, I was right. She claims the other two, not her, but the fact that she's made probably close to a dozen accounts altogether. That's pretty significant. Now, of course, maybe not all of those accounts were on YouTube. Some of them are on Facebook. But then she wants to call up and talk about herself, how she has compassion, how she this, she that. It's always about her. She's not the victim. I am. But she's not going to take the time to hear my story because she's too busy doing glam girl, except she's not glam girl. She's old. She's no spring chicken, and neither am I. If you're going to fill in the time with taking cheap shots, I'm going to take the time to speak out publicly on YouTube about it. See, Shannon Alvarado, like many of the people who promised to help, didn't. She procrastinated like everyone else did. Wanted to promise that she was going to help. This is what originally made it so that I was willing to accept her friend request. She was willing to help me by looking at the evidence so she could verify it and help me to turn it in together. Together. I've got recordings with Erin Cockerham. I've got recordings with Cara Rogers on this channel. When I try to tell Shannon Alvarado something is important, she talks over it every time. Every single time. She doesn't care how it affects me. She doesn't care. She just wants to put her 2 cents in. Now, I'm trying to give her the chance here to do the right thing. If you don't know, you don't know. That's acceptable. If you can't remember, you can't remember. That's also acceptable. Let's move on to the next question then. It's not, I ask one question and then Shannon Alvarado sort of answers it and then gets to take a cheap shot for every question I ask. No, we're not playing that fucking game. That's one of the things about her saying she doesn't remember. That's why it's so important. That's why mandated reporters are supposed to turn it in right away. And they're supposed to investigate it right away while people's memories are still fresh. I tried. Now we can give Shannon Alvarado another try. But it's difficult to pull her out of selfish mode. Well, she's decided, and that's the issue with living here in the United States of America. Men don't get to do that. Not unless they're Tyson Beckford or Donald Trump. Looks or money. She wants to talk about how nasty I am to her. Well, hey, you know what? This is not the place for it. If you want to fucking have it out, then we can have it out that way. This isn't the place for you to take cheap shots at Sean Schwartz because you feel like shit. You rightfully should. You did fucked up shit. You didn't keep your word to help turn it in. Neither did Mandy Hughes. And people always want to remember things looking back as if they were righteous and just in their selfish decisions, don't they? Shannon Alvarado is showing that she doesn't care what I'm going through emotionally. She's just going to dig it in. And you get to hear how I dig it in too. I'm willing to try doing it one-on-one. I'm going to record it when at all possible. You can tell that Shannon Alvarado is probably the world's shittiest listener. She does have some excuses, like her daughter being high maintenance. But if you're going to go out of your way to take every opportunity where you can speak to be a dick, then no, Shannon. Not okay. Now, if you're going to say you haven't seen it, you're not here, well, that's fine. I can send you the videos. What's her excuse then? Oh, well, I wasn't there. I know you weren't here. That's why I sent you the videos. The videos are fucking evidence, Shannon. This is not fucking rocket science. When they use my videos in court that I wasn't even allowed in, and they didn't even have to produce videos. They just wrote a little caption of something that was taken out of context. And that makes it good enough for me to be harmed, right? And then Shannon Alvarado's like, well, I don't know. Oh, fuck. I don't even know why I bother. Obviously, she doesn't give two shits. Obviously, it's just about taking cheap shots. If she has so much compassion, then why is she being such a fucking piece of shit? Going out of her way to take cheap shots. Of course, I'm not going to say nice things about her. And then, of course, she rewords, this is every time that I ask a question that's pretty straightforward. Like she literally just told me a story about something that just happened, right? Like she literally tells me the story, and then I say, all right, well, did this happen? Oh, no, it didn't, but blah, 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 blah. Yes, it did. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. I asked you a simple yes or no fucking question. And I'm trying not to be quote unquote hateful, as you call it, or angry. But every day that I have to deal with communication issues, like trying to talk to somebody like that who is a witness to multiple situations, but she is scatterbrained as fuck. It's difficult. Now, when she wants to take those pop shots at me, then she wants to get angry because I'm not going to take pop shots at her back like that. It doesn't fucking work. I'll go to YouTube and I'll do it here. See, she doesn't want to focus at all on turning in the abuse. She wants to talk about what a good person and she did this and she did that. And really, did she? Why is it so much about what Shannon did and not about turning in the abuse? There's an awful lot to go through, and in order to send it to you, I have to trust you. And I can't trust Shannon Alvarado. She's shown that for years. And like with most people, she wants to do the don't bring up the past. Don't bring up the past. Or at least not the past as far as they're concerned. So how much battery do we have left? Obviously, I have gotten sick and tired of Shannon Alvarado enough that I have asked her to leave, told her to leave, and blocked her over and over and over again. But she keeps coming back. She'll always make another account to please come back. She said that she didn't make the other two accounts, that she had made the account time before, the Baby Angel account. Well, okay. I busted the Baby Angel account, didn't I? And that was just yesterday, by the way. It's not like she did this months or years ago. This was literally yesterday. Now her excuse is after 8 years, she doesn't remember anything. Shit, she didn't remember hardly shit while it was going on either. It's a good thing I recorded so many things with Shannon Alvarado, because she does verify the things with Kara Johnson Miles. Verifies the messages she got on Facebook, because Kara Johnson Miles was wondering why she was getting involved and to get her nose out of other people's business and shit. Now, whether or not Shannon Alvarado remembers that, I didn't get to finish what I was saying, so she automatically had some answers she was trying to flail out there like a dummy, and it's fucked up. When you've already decided. She's got it so much in her head that she's got something she wants to say, right? What is her ability to listen on a scale of 1 to 10? A lot of times I'm telling her literally a first-hand account of what happened, and she's telling me, I thought. And then she's telling me about all the stuff she read about Natalie, and I'm like, yeah, I know. All the stuff you thought came out of stuff other people typed. But you didn't ask them for any evidence of it, did you? Meanwhile, I'm sending evidence of shit I'm saying. And Shannon Alvarado at least remembers parts of those situations, but she was never real good in the memory department. She'll bring up something that she remembers, which is nice, but she doesn't remember the real important stuff, does she? Or she wants to stop in the middle of something that's real important to go off about somebody that she remembered off fucking about something. Like, holy hell, fine, we'll go off on your goddamn tangent again. Yeah, who's not going to be overwhelmed by that? Who would not want their life to stop existing with friends like that? How about we not put 40 miles of extraneous bullshit in it? Like people promise to help me to turn in what they know, what they were there for, what they saw, and they never try. Now, Shannon Alvarado, if she read my evidence, she could see example after example after example of literally all of her excuses being complete bullshit. Because my predators were able to do and allowed to do literally all of the things that Shannon Alvarado makes excuses for. I can't. I'm in California. There's also the, oh, Sean, I know everything. And then she's constantly telling me she didn't know this or she didn't know that. Or she starts telling me and recounting a story that's just a story that she read secondhand from a bunch of nut jobs in a Natalie Bollinger site. Then she tells me she's not in any Natalie Bollinger sites. Hasn't been for years. So what good is she? She's not going to speak up about the situations or about how hard I tried to get help or about how we ended up doing just what she wanted to do. About how she'll ask a question and she'll reword it a whole bunch of times. Like, holy hell, I already answered this fucking question. What the hell are you doing? And you know what? I eventually get frustrated. Goddamn right. Who wouldn't? Now, Shannon Alvarado is incapable of listening. She's incapable of hearing how something that she did affected somebody else negatively without hearing it's all Shannon's fault, Shannon's fault, Shannon's fault, Shannon's fault, Shannon's fault. No, what's Shannon's fault is not admitting that the situation happened. What's Shannon's fault is running with assumptions instead of listening. That's everybody's problem. And then they want to blame autism. It's autism's fault. No, it's not. It is for certainly not autism's fault that Shannon doesn't listen. Not to understand in a way. It's not autism's fault that when she's screaming at her boyfriend, which she finally admitted to, and the drinking, that's not autism's fault either. It's not her daughter's fault either. Her daughter's not the one doing the screaming. You also get to see that it was a bunch of drama between a bunch of women. All of these women just wanted to tell me not to listen to any of the others. Aaron Cockerham telling me not to listen to Kara Johnson, or not to listen to Cara Rogers. Cara Rogers telling me not to listen to Aaron Cockerham. Layla Johnson telling me not to talk to Cara Rogers, aka Cara Mia. Cara Rogers telling me not to talk to Layla Johnson. All these women telling me not to talk to each other. And then there's Johnson Miles, who a lot of these people had dealings with. People like Shannon Alvarado. People like Katie Cahill. And we don't ever get to that because Shannon Alvarado got on a super fucking long tangent. There's important shit that's pretty fucking easy to answer. Why don't we focus on what's important here? The abuse that I'm continuing to go through. And why? The why is so important, and that's the one that so many women get to use. One of those pretty memes you love so much. It's in the past. Here's another one. Why don't you just let it go? Another version is that was 8 months ago. Of course, I've heard that one in a, well, that was like ago as well. So time is relative. If she decides that something 10 years ago is still relevant and important, then it is. If she decides in the same argument that her beating you over the head with any number of blunt objects in the last 5 minutes is 5 minutes ago, so you need to forget about it. It's dismissive. It's mean. And then you guys, you say, hey, Sean, you're mean. You're dismissive. If you have an idea, it could be a great idea for your situation. It could be a lot of people's great idea for their situation. Could solve all their problems. However, just because you blurt out the first thing that come to mind doesn't mean it's a fix to the problem. And just because somebody's not able to do your quick tool fix doesn't mean they're not trying. It doesn't mean they're not trying to better themselves and better their situation. The other thing, if Shannon Alvarado is here, like she said, she's not here to see it. But if she was here, it would be a lot less likely to happen. One of the things that gave away her account the other day was what? Her talking about, did anybody recognize me in California? No, they didn't. Not until I got to the LA bus station. That was the second visit. But the first visit, I stayed at her house. I didn't leave except to go get cigarettes. The convenience store was 2 blocks away, and it was a quick walk back. See, here's the thing. If Shannon Alvarado wasn't so stuck on all of this bullshit, all of her wanting to pause to be a fucking asshole, what I'm trying to focus on is all of the she did. All of the shit that she did hoping to help or intending to help. The problem is with most of that, there was no follow through. For a lot of these people, they say that they can't make time. They absolutely can. Shannon Alvarado can make hours to argue with someone who is there over something that she read. Why would you interrupt a first-hand account to repeatedly tell the person a rumor that you heard? It's fucked up. At least she admitted that, yes, she is the one that exposed Kara Johnson Miles to me. She's the one that took those screenshots. Like I said, I was asking for people to take screenshots of the slander to show that people were trying to incite people to violence, that people were grouping together to try to destroy evidence, that they can spy in these groups to do so, and I have lots of evidence of this. I sent a shit ton of evidence to Shannon. The only things that she remembers is trying to make them quick quips. She's eaten up a lot of useless, it's useless now, a lot of useless time. Can we focus on the abuse and the situations? If you don't remember, that's fine. You're allowed to not remember. That doesn't mean go off on a tangent being an asshole. And yes, she does that intentionally. She does it every time. She wants to talk about how she's never anything but good to me, never anything but nice to me, and that is not the truth. See those little voice messages that she sent? What are they? It's a bunch of rude little snips. She's already let me know that she's not going to listen to anything that I send her. But she expects me to listen to all those, and she's not going to this, and she's not going to that until I listen to her snotty little messages. Well, fuck that. I'm not going to send a bunch of snotty little messages. I'll let you know that I'm agitated and why. After that, I go to fucking YouTube. Simple. See, here's the thing. Right here. Shannon Alvarado is sabotaging herself. At least she finally admitted to the problems between her and her boyfriend and the drinking. But she is unwilling to recognize the repercussions for those around her. Also, there are things like her talking over me. I can't think when she's talking over me, but she's going to do it repeatedly. Talking over the victim is not listening. When she says she's going to listen, what she means is that she's going to talk. She's going to interrupt me in the middle of what I'm saying to tell me what she assumed. Why the fuck are we talking about what you assumed? Why? I already know what you assumed. You tell me what you assumed every fucking time. And then you forget that you told me. Yes, that's overwhelming. When I say that she's selfish, that's not me just trying to be a dick. Is she trying to help turn in Kara Johnson Miles, or is she trying to talk about her compassion? Is she trying to answer questions, or is she trying to take cheap shots? If there's something that you weren't there for, I can understand that. But if there's a video of it, then yes, there is that it fucking happened, and you can act as a friend or family member and help to fucking turn it in. Jesus goddamn Christ. I got treated like I made up Shannon Alvarado and that nobody ever tried to help because Kara Johnson Miles' words were allowed in fucking court and Shannon Alvarado never made an effort to get her words in court. She never made an effort to my words in court either. It always turns into an argument about she knows better than everybody. How dare anybody say anything against, well, Princess Annabelle Lee, I guess. See, that's the thing about listening to understand. If you're listening to get defensive automatically and assume someone's blaming you. No. No, you're not trying to help. You're not trying to listen, and you're not trying to understand. When you're trying to hide the parts where you fucked up really big, what you're doing is making sure that I take the blame for your fuck ups. You're not willing to admit them. That's not my fault. I admit my fuck ups, including trusting people who are stalkers, because I don't have anybody else who's actually helping. Nobody focuses on turning in the abuse. Shannon Alvarado, oh, there's a list that she could have written down. We didn't even get to that part. A simple list. All she needed is a pen and a piece of paper. As far as listening goes, that's not something that I do expect out of Shannon Alvarado anymore, because she's not capable. There's one video, though, where she did really good at what seemed like listening. There's also another one where, in the middle of the call, what'd she do? She muted it. You started ordering pizza, and then she unmuted it in the middle of ordering pizza. I'm like, well, no wonder she doesn't hear anything I say. And she wants to repeatedly tell me about her compassion, while she takes these cheap shots. And then she wonders why I take cheap shots. Well, I'm not taking cheap shots. I'm speaking up, loud and proud, publicly. I'm not trying to hide my words. If my words don't come together right, well, that's life. It happens. I'm not going to try to hide that my words didn't come together right. I'll admit that my words didn't come together right. The more stressed I am, the more likely that is to happen. Shannon Alvarado isn't going to focus on any of the abuse that I've gone through or those situations. She's got a bunch of stuff that she wants to talk about. How she this, how she that. Hey, can we focus on the important parts? Kara Johnson Miles. Let's focus on Kara Johnson Miles and turning that in together. Then let's focus on turning in the bullshit at the Longmont Hospital together. Before any of that, though, she's got to understand the situation that I'm in now. But I have to give up on her listening. I have to come on here and be ambiguous. I would tell Shannon Alvarado my story, but she's not capable of listening. She is incapable. See, when I yell at you guys about typing the same shit over and over and over again, you're doing the same thing Shannon Alvarado is doing. You're making suggestions, inferences. And many of your suggestions show your assumptions and inferences. Why don't you move elsewhere? I don't mind answering that question. I do mind answering it 30 times in one video. I don't mind people asking what's going on. I do mind them asking what's going on over and over and over again and being demanding of that attention. Like Shannon Alvarado getting on here to take cheap shots at me from fake accounts. See, the things that I'm accused of doing to Natalie Bollinger, as far as the stalking thing goes, Shannon Alvarado is literally exhibiting stalking traits. But she's also exhibiting a great deal of narcissism because she cannot make the connection of me taking abuse with danger and harm. You get to hear in that last video with her how some of my predators drove by in a red pickup truck screaming stuff at me. She couldn't hear what they said hardly at all. Well, I did. And if you turn up your volume, listen to that video, you can too. But if you turn up the volume, you got to realize I scream in that video a lot. I'm pissed off that Shannon Alvarado literally makes everything about her what she wants. I'm trying to focus on the Kara Johnson Miles thing, and she wants to talk about the situation at her house. She wants to keep bringing that up because she doesn't want me to bring up what she did. No, what she's trying to do is, well, she'll answer honestly if I pretend that her house is perfect. We're not going to play that. I'm glad she admitted to the boyfriend issues and to the alcohol issues, even if she doesn't admit the effects for those around her. I know that me screaming and shouting affects the people around me. I'm not oblivious to it, but I'm also not drunk. Now, there's a possibility that Shannon Alvarado is sober now. Based on the conversation, it's difficult. It's difficult to believe it. Just like the situation with my sister, it's difficult to believe that she's not on methamphetamines. I want to believe it because I need my sister's help. Kind of like I want to believe that Shannon Alvarado is actually going to help me because I do need her help. Now, she wants to call this talking trash, but it's not talking trash. See, I don't just talk about her drinking, which thank goodness she admitted to, and her and Rick and they're yelling, which she did finally admit to. But there are effects at her place. That's why I had to be afraid to speak. When I'm afraid to speak, I start pacing. And then people don't like me pacing. They want me to sit down. Well, I can't sit down. I'm afraid that if I try to speak, you'll talk over me again. How about hear my story? Instead of it becoming answering everybody else's questions. How about hear my story? I'm going to try Shannon Alvarado one more time. Now, you guys can hear that. You can hear in the first one where I yelled at her more than once. I did yell. You know I yelled. You also get to hear why. Trying to get her to focus on anything. Once she's got something decided in her mind, she's running with that, and you're fucking stuck with it. There's nothing you can do. I couldn't date Shannon Alvarado because if she decided I was cheating on her, that'd be it. It'd be screaming and shouting, and my life would suck. I'd leave. No joke. Then I get called a coward for leaving. See how much battery we have. 32%. Let's see how much we have on the other one. Now I'm going to try to talk to Shannon Alvarado. I'm going to give her a chance. chances are she'll get butt hurt no matter what I say. Or try to turn anything that I say into she thought, she thought, she thought. It's difficult. But we'll try. We'll try talking like human beings. And we'll let her do all of her speaking.
Please leave a message and I'll call you back. Thanks.
Hello, Shannon. Sean. We're eating up an awful lot of time. And of course, she'll pout like that for, might be a couple of weeks. Then she'll make another count and get back on here and tell me how compassionate she is. And did anybody recognize me when I was in California? Not the first time. When she asks questions, yeah, I answer them. I don't beat around the bush. It's pretty easy to answer that one. Of course, that's also one of them questions that gave the baby angel account away, is Shannon Alvarado. It's obvious she's not interested in helping. She may have had good intentions at the very beginning, but she literally never made the attempt to turn this in, ever. And now her memory's fucked, which happens. Oh, got people driving by my vehicle super slow. I'm going to be paranoid when they do that just because Chris Stafford keeps doing that. Plus, that was a white vehicle. SUV looking thing. Now, we did get a lot of useful information that shows I told the truth. But look at how fucking hard it was to get that. How many years did it take? Years, that's right. How many years did it take for Shannon Alvarado to admit to her and her boyfriend having those issues? I get that that's not public business, but it is when it prevents other people in the house from being able to function, and that is an autistic trait. It's more a post-traumatic stress disorder trait. That's one of those things about people inviting you into a toxic environment. And then when you can't stay there because it is that toxic, it is that scary, and you can't even speak because it's always drama. And there was nice things that happened there, and I'd prefer to talk about the nice things that happened there. But that's not what we're doing here. Now, at all this arguing from Shannon Alvarado, what have we gathered? Well, after all this time, she doesn't remember a whole heck of a lot. But there's parts that she does remember. The other thing is, we know that if we ask her a direct question, she will answer just to be opposing. When she knows the answer is yes, you'll say no and then say yes. And then I thought you were saying this. Why are you reinterpreting the English language? Do you really think that I am so retarded that I need you to reinterpret my question, reword it in your head as to mean something other than what I asked? You've already decided with this answer you're going to blurt out real quick. And then, oh, I thought you were asking me this. Oh. Obviously, it's frustrating for me because she is a witness to so many different situations. But she literally did not make any attempt at any point in time to turn that stuff in, to turn in what she knew, to find out why it's important even, because she's too busy telling me about her opinions and what she assumed and what she thought. And I should this and I should that. And if I tried this and if I tried that, have I contacted this place? Shannon, are you making the calls with me? When people say, did you call the police? Did you make the call with me? That's the question right there. Now, obviously, Shannon Alvarado is stalking. She's not trying to help. She's going out of her way not to. Now, is she faking stupid or is she really that aloof? She's really that aloof. When she's decided something in her head, that's the way it is. With a lot of the quote-unquote conversations we've had, the majority of it is me having to correct stuff that she assumed from listening to idiots. They weren't there. Why are you listening to them? Why am I arguing as someone who was there for the situation and recorded the situation? Why am I arguing with Shannon Alvarado about something that she heard secondhand from somebody else who heard it secondhand? Fuck the rumors. Listen to the victim. But you won't do that, especially if the victim is male. You want to second guess everything that he says. You want him to check and verify every single thing. So I do my best to send every single thing. But Shannon Alvarado had to get into an argument over something stupid nearly every time. And you get to hear all these people type in here, oh, well, you should come to New Orleans. That's one from earlier today. Might have been yesterday. Shannon Alvarado, what's hers? Oh, well, you should come to California. Everybody's got the idea of I should move. Are you going to pay for me to move? It doesn't cost you a goddamn thing to speak up. And if you don't speak up when it happens, yeah, you're going to start forgetting stuff. The only reason I get to remember is because from time to time, I get to get on my computer and go through the screenshots, and I run into these things. When I'm looking for another important piece of evidence that's around the same time, I keep running into the conversations with Kara Johnson Miles. I keep running into the stuff that Shannon Alvarado sent me on phones that I was actually able to download to a computer. Some of those phones that are broken and lost forever, I still have some of the evidence from them because I downloaded it to the computer. Loose Weight and Rand Trice, welcome back. It is nighttime. Now let me tell you how aloof Shannon Alvarado is, and I encourage you guys to watch that video. The one that I recorded with her before this one. The one where I yell at her a bunch. I really do encourage you to listen to that. She does admit that she was going to help me to turn it in. She also admits that she never tried. That's the part that I'm pissed off about. While you guys want to throw in my face all these people that helped me, did they? Did they really? All the Bollingers and their junkies were not hesitant in the least bit to fuck with me over and over and over again, which Of course, Shannon Alvarado was able to verify that, at least with the Kara Johnson miles. And then she remembered what it is that I was saying. Oh, I reworded what Sean said in my head again. And you don't stop to understand how overwhelming that is, or the fact that she's a witness. I need her evidence and her testimony. Lucky for her, I've got a lot of the evidence, but her testimony is what gets the evidence looked at. Her account is what gets the evidence looked at. She's not going to look at it favorably. While I was there, I was pretty much the perfect house guest. Not even close. I am not the perfect house guest, am I? I'm overwhelmed. And she admits that I'm overwhelmed. She knows that I'm overwhelmed. But she does not try to understand that she is the reason that I'm overwhelmed. People like her are the reason that I'm overwhelmed. Good intentions, sure. But the ability to listen to a man is not there. We've taught so many women that men are not to be listened to. You just call them sweetheart and hun, and they'll let you get by with a little bit more. You smile at them once in a while, they'll let you get by with a little bit more. Flirt with them a little. You might get by with a little bit more. There's guys that works for. They're good looking. There's guys it doesn't work for. If I call somebody sweetie, I might have a lawsuit on my hands. If I had a job, I might lose my job for calling somebody sweetie right after they called me sweetie. Wasn't that here in Oregon? Where the old lady was buying a muffin and she called the guy behind the counter sweetie, and he called her sweetie back and she sued him. Discrimination. Men have to be on pins and needles about anything they say, because literally everything that they say will be misconstrued and twisted and manipulated into something that it ain't anytime that a woman sees fit to be pissed off. What I'm trying to do is teach y'all that equality means that you need to listen to a man when he's abused too. A lot of these women who offer to help me, they do offer to help me. And they even offer to help me how they would help a woman. But they don't help the way they would help a woman. They help the way that we're expected to help men. I'm still disabled. Do you help the way that you would help a disabled person? No, you don't. You help the way that you would help a man. Tell him to take care of it himself. Tell him he's on his own. When we are sexually assaulted, we're on our own. When we're physically assaulted, we're on our own. When people beat on our vehicles and assault us, is Shannon Alvarado going to look at the evidence? I hope so. But what are the chances that it's going to turn into another argument over some rumor she heard? Something that she read in one of these things that she doesn't go to anymore. Yeah, typed, you sound better tonight, Roman. Facts. Loose weight type, you give me so much inspiration. Well, I wish that I got more inspiration out of you from speaking like this than from cursing and yelling at people the way that I do. I hope that you guys understand why I do that. We're people too. The homeless are people too. Men are people too. We spend our entire lives protecting women and children. Do we not deserve something for that? And I'm not talking about a relationship. I'm not talking about a girlfriend. I'm not talking about a wife. I'm not talking about someone that we're expecting to bring children into this world. Because we all know that we're going to have to read this stuff on our timelines and hear it from the grocery store about how women tear up their bodies to give us children. Us. Most of the guys I know, the only reason they ever had children with a woman is because they were fucked up on drugs and alcohol, and so is she. Or she wanted a baby and he was in love with her. Most guys don't want kids these days. There's a lot of guys that do, but they have problems finding a good woman. Finding a woman who doesn't believe that it is her job and duty to be combative over everything. It doesn't need to be combat. And you get to hear with Shannon Alvarado how me, as the victim, being heard, is combat. By the way, Chris Stafford just drove by. He didn't say nothing this time. I was going to show you that he's out there. But he usually drives by a couple of times, screams a few things. We got somebody on here typing about praying for me. Prayers don't work. If you have a plate of food in front of you, you got a fork, you got two good hands, you got a mouth that works, and you're going to sit there and stare at your plate and pray to the Almighty to take a shovel full of that on a fork and stick it in your face for you. Yeah, God's not going to do that. Why are you praying to God for things you know God's not going to do? Prayers do not work. Let me tell you about a lady in the Chapel Assembly of God. I don't remember what it was that she needed. But I remember that all these people in the church wanted to talk about prayers. And there was a jar that they could put money in. Money in to help her out, to donate to help this lady out. Who put the money in the jar? Render unto God that which is God's, and render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. That was those people's money. They earned it. They can give the glory to whoever they want. They can pray all they want. But between praying and putting that money in the jar, it was putting that money in the jar that helped that woman out, not the prayers. Did that jar fill up because she prayed? No, that jar filled up because she went to a community of like-minded people. Now, Shannon Alvarado making account after account after account to harass me because she wants attention. I give her that attention. And what did she use it for? To take pop shots. To take cheap shots. To cold cock a motherfucker when he's down. And this is somebody that I have to try to depend on. Try to hope that she's not going to throw another fucking hissy fit. Because her opinions, that she's talking over me to tell me her opinions of shit that she wasn't there for. That never helps the victims. In the previous video, she admitted that when she was talking about her friend Marnie, that it didn't take me very long at all to post it up, to speak up. She also admitted that she didn't post that stuff out. We got trolls getting on here, right? No big deal. I'd user on this channel. Scooty in a hurry is a troll too. He doesn't care about the abuse. He wants to go in about Jesus and drugs. Yeah, I got no time for that, dude. Adios. I'd use on this channel. I don't go for that. This is a woman's game here, isn't it? Women are taught to do this to us. When we need help, what do? We get talked over. We get told pretty memes. We get asked a bunch of questions unrelated. We get told a bunch of stories that have nothing to do with our situation. Literally anything except actual help. Shannon Alvarado could have helped turn it in, but she didn't try. She wanted to make it into an argument every single time. That's not a sign that you're compassionate and want to help. It's a sign that you're not compassionate. You don't want to help. You get to hear how she wants to repeatedly change the subject to be about what she did here and what she did there. You know what?
Are you good, babe?
Not so much.
You good? You're not so much?
No, well, they've been smashing in my windows. I've had to expose people's numbers on the internet. I've had to fucking scream and shout and curse.
I know, baby, I know. It's all right.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
I'll still come back and help you out, okay, buddy?
Well, here's the thing. I need help turning in the abuse. I sent a lot of that stuff to Candy, but the thing is, Candy's pissed at me, and she's allowed to be. But they're not dealing with 1/1000th of what I have to deal with.
Right.
When people give out my number, it results in restricted calls. I can't answer calls from any of these professional services because I literally had to block the restricted calls so I'd commit suicide over restricted calls.
Right.
I tried to explain to Nathan and I tried to explain it to Candy. I love them both. I absolutely love everybody in fucking Delhi. The thing that scares me is everybody talking about hurting people instead of helping to turn it in.
I know, and I would if I'd seen the abuse, I'd go with you, baby. But I haven't seen anything, and I know that your car. I know.
I've got videos of those situations. I have videos. The thing is that the cops won't look at those videos, and they pretend that they don't exist. That's why I tried showing them to Candy and Nathan, and also the people at Starbucks that said they'd look and said that they'd help. And I did show them the videos, and they said, "Wow, you really have videos. That really happened." Well, yeah, I told you it
happens.
And that's the thing, is that I showed them the videos and they didn't understand. Well, the next step, after you've seen the video, you can verify it happened, that it's not a figment of my imagination. Now we can turn in the crime that happened. Nathan didn't understand that Officer Martinez was the same officer who told Candy that I brought it on myself. So when Officer Martinez came up and was just saying, Sean, 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 Officer Fitzgerald was this close, was making it sound like he was actually going to investigate the assaults, which is what we were trying to get done to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I just saw him drive past, so I just wanted to make sure you were okay.
Oh, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure you were all right.
And thank you for paying attention to that. Who told you Chris was messing with me?
I know. I know. Well,
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
try to keep an eye out for you, buddy. Okay?
Thanks, Angela. And hey, thanks for walking with her. Loose weight type, what's your most important goal? To show the truth. Because of slander, I had my disability money taken away repeatedly, making it so that I couldn't take care of myself and had no money. And it was the people who promised to help me getting angry because their words more important than mine. People doing things that were against my best interest. The most important goal is to show that I'm telling the truth, because showing that I'm telling the truth can change the laws. It can change how the disabled and the homeless are treated in the United States. A lot of people are complaining here that immigrants are treated better than homeless people. Well, you know what I've noticed? Immigrants have been better to me than American citizens. Most of the money that people have given me, these were foreign immigrants that gave that to me. Loose Wet typed, I think you should get a cheap van. See, everybody's got their own ideas of what I should be doing. I don't have the money to do that. I have court coming up. I have a vehicle full of paperwork that shows that I'm innocent in these court dates that I've been railroaded over. It's evidence that shows that everything that I did, as far as breaking the law, was out of desperation. And it was out of desperation because people's lives are at stake. When I was in low income in Chapel, Nebraska, people who were trying to help me disappeared. Of course I freaked out. Look at what happened to several of the other people that disappeared. Look at Natalie Bollinger. What happened when she disappeared? When you guys want to just dip out, the least you can do is tell somebody you're dipping out so they're not afraid that you've been fucking killed. Jesus goddamn Christ. The courts are never going to hear me because I don't have someone to advocate. That means someone to speak up for me when I'm unable to. When they call me mentally ill, they take away that ability right away. Shannon Alvarado could learn a lot if she wasn't so busy talking. You might have noticed that every time that she says that she's going to listen, it doesn't turn into listening for very long. It turns into her getting defensive and pissed off because she's assuming that I'm trying to blame everything on her. Well, then I will blame everything on her. In reality, it was her and a lot of people like her, any one of which could have come forward. I don't hate Candace. I don't hate Nathan either. I don't hate Joseph Moreno. I'm talking about the one here, not the one in Colorado, but I don't hate him either. Yeah, I know what he put Natalie through. Tim Beeson put her through worse. When a woman doesn't like her situation, she'll go back to what's familiar, even if it's abuse. For Natalie Bollinger, she was abusive towards me. And a lot of other people have been abusive towards me to this day over it. And she came by because she saw Chris's van going by, which means she was a witness to something that made her wonder or worry about it. I wonder how much battery I got left. I'm up to 34% on this one, and I'm up to 35% on this one. Loose Weight typed, Angela is awesome. Yes, she is. Anyway, if you guys would like to help to turn in the abuse, you can start by sending an email to doggedroman@gmail.com. If you're actually willing to help, you're actually serious about it, and you're actually willing to listen, then you can help me to turn this in. If you send me a message, I'll start off by forwarding you the message from Natalie Bollinger. It's time and date stamped. That's one thing that Shannon Alvarado wanted to interrupt with a lot, Like she didn't remember the date, didn't remember the date. Well, the date's not important. It's time and date stamped already on the thing. A lot of people say they're going to time and date stamp something themselves. I'm like, all right, go ahead, but it's already date stamped in the comments. It would actually help me out if you listen to the whole thing. You'll get to hear why I'm pissed off. Now, what Angela come out for? She came out here because she saw Chris Stafford drive by. Right after I told you Chris Stafford drove by. This time he didn't throw a rock at me. This time he wasn't screaming shit at me. But she was worried enough to come out here and ask. Also, like with many of you, you say you didn't see it. And then you refuse to look at video evidence or even acknowledge that it exists. And then you repeatedly tell me, well, I didn't see it. Well, you know what? I'll send it to you. To the best of my abilities within finding it. With the stuff with Farnsworth, it would take a bit to go back and find it. The stuff with Wolnez is easier to find. But it's 5 months worth. And it's buried under 5 months worth of videos. Videos that I'm only recording, by the way, for my safety. As far as being live. If it weren't for the safety issues, I wouldn't record live. I wouldn't have to. Now let's see if Shannon Alvarado is willing to do this without taking cheap shots. Because really, she did a lot of stuff. She did a lot of stuff. Stuff that would have been useful if she'd have spoken up. Instead of allowing the police to get away with claiming that I wasn't trying to get help and that nobody would help me. There were lots of people trying. But every step of the way, law enforcement broke the law to prevent me from having that help. In the last video with her, she talks about how Mandy Hughes sent her receipts showing that Mandy Hughes had sent money to the Arapahoe County Jail, as she had claimed, and as I had claimed too. I have been pissed about that situation since it happened. Because if I had been able to use the fucking phone to call the goddamn people I needed to, we could have had an actual court date. I could have actually coordinated with the other people who are involved in the situation. We could have shown the fucking truth. Instead, even my own public pretenders did everything they could to prevent me from showing the evidence. Up to and including allowing the officers to take my bag of evidence and then enter it in just as property, and then refuse to allow anyone any access to it. It's just property, it's not evidence. So the Bollingers and their bullies got to take literally everything out of context, and I was never allowed to defend myself. That stuff that I'm talking about with Kara Johnson Miles, that Shannon Alvarado wants to brag about exposing, she's never helped to turn it in. Kara Johnson Miles got to slander me in my court over the situations that happened all the way in August of 2018. This is months after Shannon Alvarado exposed it. For months, I'd been speaking up about it. For months, Shannon Alvarado had done nothing, and guess what? It's been years now. Now, we got somebody on here being a troll and a bully, typing, "Get to work." Isn't that lovely? What do we do with these guys? Hide user on this channel. Easy. Loose weight typed, "You have a great voice. Almost like a Sam Elliott. You should do a podcast or audiobooks." See, you're making suggestions. That's a nice thought, and I'm thankful you had it. But I don't want to do podcasts, audiobooks, or YouTube. I want to clear my name. And that starts by getting someone to look at the evidence that I'm telling the truth and actually speak up with me, not 6 years from now. Loose weight typed, I was thinking that earlier. Well, you're welcome, I guess. Nick L typed, I believe you. Belief is not enough. Knowledge. See, that's one of the things, the video with Graham Milborn. He said he believes one of his friends is in danger. No, one of my friends was in danger. Me and Alicia Bollinger hadn't been friends for close to 2 years, but she was still in danger. That's Ted Bollinger. Don't be dumb. Not trying to call you dumb, Nick, obviously. Many of these people, you get to hear them say after the fact, right? When I go to them about the issues, they say, oh, Sean, you don't have to show me. I believe you. I believe you. Then they drag it out for months saying, oh, well, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. But I believe you. These are the same people that won't let me tell my story without talking over the whole thing. And they tell me they believe me. You got to hear the conversation with Teresa Orn telling me she believed me. But what did she believe? She talked over everything. What does Shannon Alvarado believe? She talked over everything. How can she claim that she believes me when she dismisses everything I say? It's harmful. It's hurtful. Amari Robinson. Oh my God. Are you the girl that was assaulted in the parking lot here at Safeway? If you are, I have that assault recorded on this channel. No? All right. I wasn't sure. I recognized the last name, just not, I wasn't sure what her first name was. It's also a good thing you're not her, because you'd be underage and I'd have to kick you off my channel. But Shannon Alvarado, does she care that I'm being treated like a child molester or a rapist? No. Does she care what that actually entails? No. Does she recognize that, yes, that puts my life at risk? These assaults put my life at risk. My broken windows, yeah, that is evidence that my life is at risk. And how did Shannon Alvarado try to play it off? The same way Natalie did, by pretending it's not an issue. Like, oh well, no big deal. Sure, it's not true, but whatever. Shannon Alvarado has the same exact attitude as Natalie Bollinger about it too. Natalie Bollinger wanted to tell me I brought it on myself. That's right. I brought on the abuse by speaking up about the abuse. That's how it's played. Just like Shannon Alvarado wants to be angry with me about speaking about how fucked up the situation there was. I'm not saying she did that shit on purpose. I'm not saying that they had arguments to destroy my life. I'm not saying that their intent was to prevent me from getting anything done. I'm saying that's the result. Cause and effect. Nobody made Natalie Bollinger lie. Nobody. It was a decision that she made. A decision based on the fact that she was embarrassed over things that were not my fault. I don't deserve to be punished for the rest of my life over a broken car and a broken phone. And that's what it comes down to. A fucked up situation where it must be my fault, where I'm an evil person because I had a fucked up phone that I got from Alicia Bollinger and a fucked up vehicle I got from David and Laura Nelson. I didn't want a fucked up vehicle. I wanted a perfectly running vehicle. But nobody gets a perfectly running vehicle, especially if it's old and used. So when David and Laura Nelson want to ignore that part, and they want to pretend like I'm trying to blame them for what happened in Virginia because my car broke down. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they could admit that that problem was pre-existing. It wasn't the first time it happened. Ken Wilson and Leah Plunkett can admit that it happened again when I was living at their place. That's right, Kenneth Wilson and Leah Plunkett. They're the people that I was staying with, the people that I lived with when Natalie was killed. I was staying with Kayla Trujillo when Natalie was killed, but that's because I was assaulted over at Ken and Leah's and they stole my disability money. No, I'm not going to be fucking happy about it. And no, I'm not going to pretend that they're some great and mighty saints. Now, of course, Shannon Alvarado gets on, pretends like she's going to help, and every time it's always the same. She pretends, she starts an argument over stupid shit. The most important thing to her is what? Talking about what a great person she is, what a kind person she is, what a compassionate person she is. She fed me, she put a roof over my head. She also screamed a lot and drank a lot. And yes, she admitted that she was having relationship problems. Thank goodness. But the thing is, with all this stuff with her on YouTube, that still doesn't get it turned into the cops. No matter what, she turn it into an argument. No matter what, it's about taking cheap shots. We can talk about her if it's her talking about it and changing the subject to talk about her. And take cheap shots at me. But I'm not allowed to speak about how fucked up a situation it was for me, am I? She finally admitted to those situations, to the fact that I am telling the truth. But look how long it took. Look how long her pride was more important than my life. Between telling the truth over all these years, between telling the truth and pushing me to end my own existence, she has literally done the one thing that does result in people committing suicide. It's called neglect. Victim blaming and victim shaming is a part of that. Telling the victim that it's their fault for being there. It's your fault that women roofied you because you're over 6 foot tall. Right? That's right. We give a man example of something that actually happened recently. Women giving a 6 foot tall man the date rape drugs so that they could try to have babies with him. It's fucked. When I told Natalie Bollinger that I was being abused, she wanted to tell me that she was calling the cops. I told her to give them my number, not out of spite or out of hatred, but because I wanted to tell those cops what was happening. Hey, Natalie Bollinger doesn't understand that when she pretended that I stalked her in Virginia, it resulted in people harming me when I went home to Boulder. And what did Natalie type to me? I brought it on myself. Let me tell you something. When we hear this, a skirt, right? The thing that we've got a lot of feminists telling us about how a skirt doesn't make it okay to rape a woman. I agree, it doesn't. But also, that's another example of saying someone brought it on themselves. You know what? If you go out in public dressed like that and people look at you, you did bring it on yourself. That's why you dress that way, is to get looked at. You did not dress that way with the intention of getting raped. You dressed that way with the intention of getting noticed. Now, the problem is, who are you trying to get noticed by? Are you trying to sell the image and idea of sex? Yes, you are. And men do the same thing. You want to attract a mate. It's part of our genetics. For me, I have no interest in having children. I always wanted kids. I just always thought it was cruel to bring them into this world. When I let Natalie know that people were assaulting me and abusing me, she typed to me that I brought it on myself. You did this to yourself. How many of you have abusive parents that can't stay off drugs or alcohol? Go ahead and raise your hand, because all of you have heard those words. I'm sure of it. How do I know? Both of my parents were addicted to cocaine. And after my dad got out of prison, he started drinking. You always tell your victims that they brought it on themselves, that it's their fault, that they chose it. That girl walking down the street, walking into the Sundown Saloon, Boulder, Colorado. She's obviously 21 or older, because they do check literally every single ID at the door. Now, she walks in there and she's dressed like a Catholic schoolgirl. Sort of. Except that her nice white dress blouse is unbuttoned and tied in a knot in the center, and you can see her bra. She's not there to get raped. She's there to get attention. But she's an adult advertising as underage meat. Does that make it okay for her to be raped? No, it doesn't. However, when she walks out of that bar with a guy that is really attracted to that, and 6 years later, 8 years later, she finds out that SOB is molesting her children, what did you expect? What kind of a man were you trying to attract? And then, of course, for us men, we don't get that excuse, do we? For women, it's not our fault, we're just women. For men, it's your fault for being there. It is your fault for even existing there. You should not have been there. When we go to parties and something fucked up happens at the party, it's the men's fault that it happened. All of the men there are blamed for it because they didn't do anything about it, even if they didn't know what was going on, because the music is blaring and they're in the front room having a party while somebody's doing fucked up shit in the back room. Like, us guys get the shaft just for existing. Loose Weight typed, I have watched some of your videos. I can't imagine any sleep in your car unless you could put your seat back all the way or sleep in the back, but all your belongings are in the way. Yeah, that, and I've also got predators who drive by my vehicle and throw shit at it, whether I'm in it or not. That keeps me from sleeping. People driving by and screaming the N-word at me keeps me from sleeping. And then the fact that the people who are witnessing these things aren't doing anything. At least you're thinking. Ryan Trice typed, it's like hanging a steak in front of a lion and expect it just to take a nibble. Yeah. I suppose that's a close enough analogy. So Shannon Alvarado stalking me and convincing me, I don't know how or why. Oh yeah, because I'm fucking desperate. She's a fucking witness. But she's also not even trying to understand the importance of these things. See, there's a couple of times that she's admitted to situations that it was important for her to admit to, only to take cheap shots about it. What are the chances that Shannon Alvarado is going to give the same excuses as everybody else? Well, we've gotten to hear in this video that she's made a lot of those excuses. People say they're not in the right state, they're not in the right place. Now there's the excuse of it was years ago and I just don't remember. She knew, just like Dan Fabert and Layla Johnson and many others, that what I was trying to get was help turning in abuse. And that's what these people promised to do. That are going to work together to help turn in the abuse. Someone calling himself Zen typed, if I make through the water side, will I find myself a boat? You might. There's also an analogy of a bridge. You've got to span a fast-moving river, and it's about 80 yards wide. And of course, you got to go back and forth every day across it. So somebody, hey, I need help making a bridge. You go to your friend, promise they'll help you since you help them. And they say, oh, well, you should just ride a boat across. You tell them, well, it's a little too fast moving for that. And I'd have to do that every day, and I'd have to carry that boat. It's not feasible. Sure, you had an idea, but it's not a good one. And it doesn't work for the river that needs crossed. So then you're trying to explain to them about the river, but they want to interrupt you and say, hey, you know, you should just throw some rocks in there and walk across the rocks. Well, again, it's too fast flowing and it's also too deep. And you tell them that. And they want to push it a little bit because you already shot down one of their ideas. Well, this one, they're not going to let you shoot it down. Well, what if they were big rocks? You know? Well, that's going to be an awful lot of work. Are you going to help me to get the rocks there? No, but you know, you could rent an excavator. So, of course, you're trying to tell them this is a fast-flowing river, and it's deep, and it's about 80 yards span, but you haven't gotten far because they keep popping up with these ideas. Hey, man, you think about, you know, maybe just dropping a couple of boards across, maybe like a couple of 2x12s and calling it good? Well, it's 80 yards across. A couple of 2x anythings isn't going to be long enough. So by this point, they're wanting to push it real heavy. Are you sure, you know, a couple of good boards to do the job? No, dude, it's 80 yards wide. Oh, well, you didn't tell me it was 80 yards wide. Well, of course not. You didn't give me the opportunity. You were too busy telling me to use a boat. Too busy telling me to throw rocks in it. Too busy telling me to throw down some 2x4s. How about you listen? So now that you've listened, maybe now you can help to make a bridge that's actually useful. Maybe a rope bridge, maybe a suspension bridge, but at least you know that it's not a boat thing. It's not a just throw some rocks in the water thing. You know, it's not just dropping a couple of 2x4s across. It's not a creek. Zen typed, are the tools vital once we reach our destination? Yes. depending on your destination. Do your efforts make a difference after you're gone? Well, yeah, of course they do. It's because you can't take them back. That ripples forever, baby. Now we get to hear all these people who are witnesses and also victims of many, many of my predators. People like Amanda, who's not going to do anything because she's having her own problems. Well, I don't mind working together with her. Many hands make for light work. She had to leave Tillamook. She's pregnant in Portland. And she's not getting any help there either. That's the victim of Chris Stafford. So should we call Shannon Alvarado one more time and give her the chance to actually help the way that she claims that she wants to, instead of taking cheap shots? Because that's all she's been doing. Is it truly all that she's been doing? No. But she didn't sit down with me and make a list, which is the way that it needs to happen. If we record the situation, then she can go back and listen to it for anything that she forgets. She doesn't have to ask the questions while we're making the video. She can go back and listen to it later on. Loose weight type, can you give me some pointers on how to stay positive when going great? That doesn't sound very useful. That seems like something one of them trolls would type. There's no going great. I don't know what that even means. I'm not very good at staying positive. It's because I have no faith in human beings. See, a lot of people, they want to be negative Nellies. Oh, it won't work, it won't work, it won't work. And I say, hey, I'm going to be harmed if you don't take this seriously. Right? And they tell me not to be negative. Or I tell them that I was just assaulted and they don't want to hear it because it's negative. They only want to hear positive things. If your life isn't perfect, they're gone. They're out. Meanwhile, all over there, I can't because of this and I can't because of that. There are 10,000 excuses. They're all negativity, every one of them. It's all negativity. It's that same fucking white vehicle, just back and forth, back and forth. It's a fucking Kia. Ryan Trice typed, you have to be a realist, not positive or negative. Realist really comes down in this modern society as excuse. When you use being a realist as an excuse to do nothing, it's the same as using Christianity as an excuse to pray. You're still doing nothing. Nothing useful as far as science goes. Dreamers dream and builders build, but it takes an artist to bridge the gap. Lucky me, I'm all three. We'll give Shannon Alvarado one more chance. This video's 2.5 hours long already. I saved her in my phone, by the way, as Shannon the Stalker. Ryan tries typed. You can try to be positive, but if the situation is negative, then you will think negative. Sort of, yeah. If you're beaten on, hello?
Leave me the message and then I'll call you back. Thanks.
Shannon, historically, you don't call back. You throw a tantrum for 3 or 4 days, and then you'll call me to say some nasty stuff. The problem is that those 4 days are important. You can try to be positive. Maybe today I won't get punched in the head at school or on my way to school, right? So you walk to school and you get punched in the head on the way there. You get punched in the head on the way back. You're supposed to tell your parents or your siblings or your friends. You tell them. What do they tell you? Well, don't worry about it. Just let it go. Maybe things will be better tomorrow. Things will be better tomorrow, I promise. I know they'll be better tomorrow. Things can only get better. And you walk to school the next day and you get punched in the back of the head on the way there. You get punched in the head on your way home again. You tell the people that you're supposed to tell, hey, this happened again. What am I supposed to do? If I fight back, I'll get in trouble. So you've gone to your trusted adult, right? And they want to tell you, well, maybe it's something that you're doing. Maybe you have a victim mentality. Ryan Trice typed, if there's a tornado, thinking positive doesn't change the damage. You goddamn right it don't. Of course, it might help to convince you to hold on to the post a little bit tighter. Thinking positive. If I hold on tighter, I might survive this. But in that case, you're not just thinking positive. You're putting that positivity into action. You're actually doing something. Ryan Trice typed, to me, being a realist is not giving your hopes up in situations that you cannot control. Well, we can't control anyone else, but we can control whether or not we speak up. You may not be able to control whether or not your neighbor is diddling his children, but if you catch him, you can control whether you speak up or not. What was Shannon Alvarado's problem? She didn't try to speak up. She wants to use the excuse if she doesn't know how over and over again in almost every conversation. Or she doesn't know who to turn it into in every conversation. And I say, let's make some phone calls together. You have to tell them. You have to tell them what you know. She says, well, I don't know what you want me to do. Do you want me to just sit there? No, absolutely not. I want you to tell them what happened. But how much is she going to remember? And is she going to be able to focus on any of that while she's busy trying to focus on being angry and taking pop shots? Anyway, I guess even though it's pretty unsafe for me to do so, I should probably end this video because I got to post the other video up with it. But you know what? By the time Shannon Alvarado maybe gets around to talking to me again, all of this will be buried under a shit ton more evidence of harassment, abuse, or just me speaking up about the situation. Or my life will end and I won't make any more videos. Who knows? Maybe somebody will shoot me in the head. Maybe one of them rocks going through my window will smack me in the perfect spot Maybe I'll have a heart attack in my sleep. Who knows? Anyway, it's pretty obvious. Shannon Alvarado doesn't care about the abuse or turning it in or even hearing about it. It's all about her opinions. With them youngins driving by, she at least said she was writing it down. But then, of course, it had to go back to her wanting to have a conversation and wanting to make everything that she did that was harmful. She wanted to be defensive because she already knew it was coming. She already knew what I was saying because she knew the situation happened. And she wanted to cut it off. Just like the police do when they talk over me. How dare I? How dare I? Now let's talk about the gentleman earlier who helped. He's got a different opinion about things than I do, but he also doesn't have the disabilities that I do. He's not dealing with the targeting that I am. He's not being assaulted the way I am. He says he doesn't like bullies, and he'll stop bullies. But you stop bullies by turning them in or by beating them up, and I don't want anybody getting beaten up. I get treated like all of these situations where people are predatory towards me are figments of my imagination. At least Shannon Alvarado admitted that every time that she was telling me about her friend Marnie, that I posted it up immediately, or pretty damn near. At least she admitted that she never tried to help turn in Kara Johnson Miles. But we need to focus on that now because I'm being harmed over that to this day. Over that slander. And how I was railroaded in court, and now that's on my permanent record. Meanwhile, all of that can be taken off of my record by showing the goddamn truth. But when you have to fucking pull Shannon Alvarado's teeth to get that to happen, yeah, Shannon Alvarado would rather my life end. She will go off on a bunch of stuff that is a bunch of side notes of shit that's random that she fucking remembered that got nothing to do with the fucking situation. Yeah, these people existed, sure. But we need to focus first and foremost on the Kara Johnson situation as far as her being a witness. She exposed Kara. She needs to come forward with me about it. Because Shannon Alvarado exposed Kara Johnson Miles, Kara Johnson Miles threw a tantrum and treated me completely like shit, the same way that Shannon Alvarado does. But you notice, I treat people like shit back now. And I don't like doing that. Loose Weight typed, I just hope the people of Tillamook can come together and help this astonishing man. We should buy him an RV or a house. I don't think anybody in Tillamook's going to buy me an RV or a house, and I'm really not that extraordinary or astonishing. You get to see there's a lot of women who have been blocked from this channel because they get on here and they type, what is this? And then they type that I'm weird and leave. Okay. You're a weirdo. You're just strange. Well, thank you. You get into the middle of a conversation, don't know what's going on, and you just want to insult people. That's not useful. Loose Weight is typing some nice things. But does that get Kara Johnson Miles turned in? Or the effects that it had on my life, on my court date, preventing me from having my rights. See, Kara Johnson Miles and the situation at the Longmont Hospital are two of the key highlights that Shannon Alvarado was involved in that changed the outcome of everything. Kara Johnson Miles wasn't busy making excuses not to try. She goaded me the best that she could. And the moment she got exposed, she started playing victim and started being a bully. Anyway, you know how we end these videos. It's good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper. And your sister's keeper too. And no victim left behind.